Now we need to get rid of the spacing right here, and that's applied to this H2 from the browser by default again. So we can look for article H2 and now set the margin bottom to 0, or if we want, we can override it and say margin top left, bottom right is 0. And now that's been pushed up. So now we're getting very, very close, just a little bit more here. We're going to focus on specifics now. Notice how this meta information here lines up perfectly with the top of the image, but that's not the case in our situation, so let's figure it out. Inspect element, and now we will click on preview and click on the UL, and can you see this will wrap a little box right around it? You'll see right here a big box, and now you can see there's some of that spacing above, and what's happening is it's applying default margin top to the UL. So let's get rid of that. Margin top is 0. If you want to see that take effect immediately in the browser, you can use element.style here to reduce that, like so. And now that's lining up nicely. And the same thing here, it's applying 1em after. So let's see, margin bottom, if we set that to 0, that's going to push that up as well. And that's more like what you see right here. So we will do that as well. Margin top, why don't we set margin to 0 all around? Reload. And you know what? That might be a little bit too much. Let's come back. Yeah, there's a little bit of space. So I'm going to say margin top is 0, right is 0, but bottom is going to be, let's say 10 pixels worth. I could measure, but I think that's close enough. Maybe reduce that down to 8. Good. So that's lining up. Our heading is looking fine. It looks like the distance between each letter, though, is a little bit reduced compared to mine. So we can use letter spacing. And if that's going to apply to all H2s, I need to place it up here. Letter spacing. And why don't we set it to -1 pixel? This is fairly common. And that just gives it a little bit more tightness. So that's looking really good. The final two things we're going to do is float this. We're going to change the text color. And also notice here, because we applied a font size to the anchor, but not the post info text itself, that's getting a different height. So I'm going to go right here to post info and explicitly state that the font size should be 14 pixels. There we go. That's looking a lot better. And now let's get the color of the text. And I'm thinking that's the same color as what we have right here, but let's make sure just in case. And we have P, go to computed styling, color. It is a little bit different, 5757. So we will go to body, color, 5757. Reload, and that's been changed. And the font size is going to be a little bit different as well. Let's grab that and come back. Font size, that is 14 pixels too. So notice if we go right here, man, that seems like we're stating 14 pixels quite a bit. So maybe you should consider targeting all paragraphs at the top generally. So we could say P, font size is 14, and that's going to be the base font size for all paragraphs. So then I can remove this, and if I reload, we're still getting that same effect. Next, we're going to adjust the line height because it's a little bit higher here. So inspect element, and computed size, line height is 21 pixels. So we're going to set that as the default as well. Line height, 21 pixels. Reload. Okay, that's looking a lot better. Now continue what we have right here. That should have been floated to the right. And we have it, and notice there's no way to target it. So why don't we apply a class of continue? Now you might be thinking, what, I thought that was a bad practice to name a class the same as the value, but it's not. It's just convenient. You can change this to read more, and this will still make sense. It refers to the element that will continue on to the post. And now within the article, we'll place it right around here, and you'll see how quickly it becomes important to organize your code efficiently. Now it's also common, instead of doing continue, to use a class name of more. That's fairly common as well. Float it to the right. And then also note, if I cancel all this out, that continue here is an anchor tag, and it's wrapped within parentheses. So let's style that accordingly. I will come back and let's look at what we have right here. Right there, the font size is too high, so we'll adjust that. And again, it probably makes sense to abstract this 14 pixels out so we're not restating it so often. Why don't we do that now? I'm going to remove that, and right here, we will also state that the font size is 14, or you could bring it down here as well. And next, let's go ahead and add the parentheses on, and we can use our helpful before and after pseudo classes to do that. Continue. And notice here we're using some extra weight to target only the continue element that is within article, or the continue class. In this case, I don't think we need to be that specific. Don't be more specific than you need to be. Next, we're going to say continue after, and we're going to add content, a closing parentheses, and then continue before, and we're going to add an opening parentheses. There you go. And it's that easy, believe it or not. Let's see what happens when we hover over anchor tags by default, and see it does change color. And we will just change that to black. So we'll set that by default. When you hover over an anchor tag, set the color to black. Let's reload ours. And now when I hover over this, you can see the black color take effect. And because we did the same thing within post info, we can go ahead and remove that from our style sheet. So right here, let's get rid of that because we already are stating that. Okay, so good. That's going to finish it up for today. There's some more tweaks we could make, but you can see with just a little bit of effort and checking, you can recreate what you see on the web really quite easily by, one, trying to create your own markup, and don't always do exactly what the developer of the web page did. Maybe you can do it better, maybe you can't. You can always refer to it for advice. And then using developer tools. In Chrome, you can right-click and choose Inspect Element. In Firefox, you can download an extension called Firebug, which provides much of the same functionality. In fact, it's sort of the original when it comes to inspecting web pages. So good job, and that's going to finish it up for today.